not sure how many people I should be waiting for, so I might just start talking. So this is I'm in my studio. I guess I'll give a shot of it. It really is just this chair and this table and this windowsill. I have all my stuff laid out to show. But yes, it's not terribly elaborate, I'm afraid. It's an awfully short tour. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions to start off with or anything like that, that's what I'm here to do, to answer. So, and if not, then I'll just get right into showing some of the stuff that I've been working on. Cool. I like the spot because it's by a window. I do have like a proper art room that my parents set up for me when I was a kid, but it's quite far and it's in the basement, and I like it here a lot better, even though there's a lot of traffic and not a lot of space to put anything. What a great question, Christian. I think the number one thing that's keeping me making stuff during COVID is honestly like evidence that time is passing. I haven't really been making any like digital work recently, and I think that's because right now it's been really important to me to like have a tangible bits of proof that like I've actually done anything for the past 2 months. So I think that's sort of motivating me, just like wanting to feel productive and doing things, like doing exactly what, you know, guilty pleasure art, whatever, like doing exactly what I want to do, which means I've made a lot of kind of silly, like juvenile things, but I mean, whatever keeps you making stuff is important to me. So, if there's no objection, I might start showing what I've been working on. And obviously if anybody has any questions or anything, I'll see and I'll answer. So in chronological order, from when I was like sent home from school in March, I think the first things that I fell back to working on were these like kind of stuffed toys that I've been working on for a while. This one is two-sided, and obviously they're like not stuffed because I couldn't bring home my stuffing from school, so they're just like flat and sad. But these are really nice because like they're all like hand stitched, so I can just kind of sit and zone out and like whip stitch for an hour and a half, and suddenly I have like a thing. This is a stuffed one. This is what they're like actually supposed to look like. And like during the school year I made a whole bunch just because like anytime I was just sort of doing nothing like in my room, it was really easy to just like, you know, spend a couple hours like making them. And it's like satisfying to know that you like did every stitch and whatever, like I'm saying, like evidence of time passing right now is important to me. So I've been working on those. Hello to everyone joining. Yeah, so that was my first project, and I made those sort of when I still was under the impression that this was kind of a 2-week thing and that I was going to be going back to school. Evidently not the case. And so the first like longer term project that I started, and if you follow my art account, you've definitely seen these before, was my like zine called Mabel and Bear. And I also think that, like, being back here, like, at school, I didn't, like, every art supply that I wanted to use, I had to buy because I didn't really bring a lot. So I think being back here just made me want to use up all of the stuff that I, like, knew I had. And when I was at school, I was like, oh my god, like, I would die to have that paper that I know I stashed away at home. So I think a lot of the stuff I'm making right now is kind of motivated by that. In terms of selling stuff, which is like a question that I get a lot these days, the short answer is like, yes, I would like to sell copies of the zine and, you know, all of the other stuff I'm going to be showing. But I'm a little bit not sure about selling them like online and having to ship them and stuff. Because like prints can bend, like sculptures, which I'll be showing in a minute, are fragile, it can break. And I don't really want to put like more stress on the postal system at the moment. Ideally, and like if it becomes possible at some point, I have this idea in my head of having like kind of an art yard sale type of thing. But there's a lot of things that are going to have to happen between now and that being a possibility. But the short answer is like, if you're interested in buying anything, like follow my account, which is in the pinned comment. And that's when you'll get like real updates on how I'm going to be doing that when I do figure it out. So this zine is 15 ink paintings. And I actually, let me find like some of my favorite ones. And in my drawing class, like in school this year, oh, I should mention I go to Concordia for studio art, so if anybody has any questions about that, also I'm totally open to questions about that program at that school. I really enjoy it, is the short answer. And I was taking a drawing class because it's mandatory. And I've always wanted to try ink, but I never really had like a good excuse to go and buy it. But then my art teacher gave me a good excuse to go and buy it by forcing us to. So like I've been doing, like this is one of my favorites. I think it's really sweet. I never want to draw another bear again because I was drawing them every day for 2 weeks. And yeah, so again, focusing on the time thing, this was like a really good way for me to outline like feeling productive and defining what to me was productive. So like sitting down every day and like painting something and like having it to look at makes me feel better. So like I knew that it was gonna be 15 pages long, and so I knew I had something to wake up and do every morning for 2 weeks, and then I had a tangible object at the end of it that I could show people and like talk about. Thank you. So that was really good for me. So yeah, the zine is the first thing that I did and sort of got me in the habit of keeping like an art routine here, versus just sort of like letting the days mush together and all fly past. So yeah, that's Mabel and Bear. Like I said, the whole thing is posted on my art account. So if you want to read it and look at the pictures closer, that is where you should go. And I think the next thing that I'm talking about using up all the supplies that I have hoarded here, and a lot of those things are stuff that I was like interested in as a kid or like used when I was younger, and my parents bought me a lot of supplies for it, and then I just like didn't end up finishing the supplies or like whatever. So I'm just like sort of scavenging through my house. So like for example, Mabel and Bear is made out of all paper that like at some point I stowed away and like forgot about. And what I'm showing next is definitely my biggest example of that, like kind of reclaiming my old stuff. So I'm going to show some of my like polymer clay, so like oven baked clay sculptures. Some of them are kind of silly, so, but yeah, like I did a lot of these kind of little face guys. I haven't posted these on Instagram either, so they're still pretty new. I'll line them up here. Yeah, it was just something like cute and simple that like my brain could handle at the time. I haven't been making a lot of like particularly conceptual stuff. So yeah, that's all of those. Oh, he's upside down. Cute. I really like them. I think they're really sweet. They spark joy, and that's what we're doing right now these days. Just doing whatever I feel like is the best for me at that moment. Next I have these cool little snakes. These were like super self-indulgent, like I haven't worked with this material since I was a little kid. Here are my little rats. Here's some little frogs that I would like to turn into magnets or pins or something. I think that would be cute. I made a couple of things that might turn into earrings, so they have the little pin at the top. Cute. You can tell that I literally just made them because I felt like it. Here's this weird looking frog and his weird looking frog friend. And I also made a few of these guys, which I'm not really sure. They were originally meant to be earrings, but they're pretty big. So I'm not totally sure what I'm going to do with them yet. And I also made a few of these hands. I'm just going through every single one now. Oh yeah, those were little peas in a pod. Yes. And then there's also Kermit and Kirby. Very cool. So that is what I spent a good week plus using up all of my clay from when I was a kid. Because I was like super like picky maybe, or like, I don't know. I demanded the best. And now I'm used to using like the cheapest art supplies I can find. So using all of this old stuff is like top notch. Like definitely I never at this point in my life would go and buy like 20 colors of polymer clay. But I'm glad that past me was going off at Michael's. Oh my god, everyone loves Kermit. So true. He's so cute. He's the first thing that I made. So yeah, maybe this will motivate me to post all of these on Instagram now that they're being shown. And like that's a great example of stuff that I would like to sell, but it's like, I don't know. I don't want to make like an online store is basically the main issue. So that's all polymer clay, which means you bake it in the oven. And then like I some of them are painted because when I got to sort of the end of the colors I was using. And so the next group of things are air dry clay, which I only really started using like during the school year this year. Love it. So easy. So I'm gonna take out some of those and show them. So I took a ceramics class like this year during school, and I think that I didn't expect it to like just remind me how much I liked sculpting when I was younger, but that's kind of the main thing that it did. Like a lot of the time when I was making these very large and like elaborate, and ceramics is really like hard. Like there's a lot of steps, there's a lot of technical aspects to it. And I was like, I love sculpting, but wow, this is like a lot of things to think about and remember. So that's why I came back to sort of these like really simple ways to sculpt. I don't know why it took that to do it, but anyways. Oh wait, maybe I'll turn the camera around. So next up, these are all the air dry clay ones. So we have this, well, yeah, okay, whatever. We have this sort of bunny mask person. I'm not super good at faces. I'm trying, and for whatever reason I also like refuse to use like an armature, so they're pretty fragile, which is another hesitation I have about selling. There's this kind of weird cyclops clown figure. I'm really into clowns because it sort of gets you out of sculpting a nose and a mouth, and I also only sculpted one eye, so it makes it really easy. I have this mink, which is pretty cute. I don't really think that's what a mink looks like, but it's good enough for me. And this is a borzoi, because our last project in ceramics, like which got cut off because of the school year getting cut off, was like animal, vegetable, mineral, like that's what it was called. So you had to make three pieces that sort of fell under that, one of those umbrellas. And I was doing animals, and I was gonna make this super cute borzoi, but really big. And I did, and it's literally sculpted and sitting somewhere, but like not fired or anything. And I don't know what his fate is, and that's very unfortunate. He had a little crown, he was really sweet, and he looked better than this one. But yes, imagine this, but far bigger, and that's what I lost. So anyways, the last two. This was the last one that I did. I'm still pretty bad at noses, but I don't know. I think she looks okay. I really enjoy this sort of gingham that I did. I think she's cute. She's got nice big ears. Friendly, nice. And this is the very first one that I did, which for whatever reason turned out the absolute best. I'm not sure why I like peaked at the very beginning, but he's a cute little clown. I really liked painting like this clown makeup on, like and his cute little cheeks and stuff are really sweet, and I like the collar as well. I don't know, I was just very satisfied with this design in particular. He's got nice big ears. I actually bought some gloss, so some of these could be glossed and look better, so that's nice. Yes, this one's ear did just break off to prove my point about why I need to start using armature, because it's so stupid. And also why I'm hesitating to sell them, because I need to figure out how to like make them so that they don't break at any given moment, which is my L for sure. Let me just go through the comments. Thank you for your kind words. And the very last one is very unfortunate. He is very broken. He fell down many times. And honestly, the sculpt looks kind of busted in the first place now that I'm looking at it. It is what it is, you know? Cool. What do I have next? What did I do next? I think next my brother came home from school, and then he had all of this like really nice construction paper, I guess, like colored paper. And I was like, can I have that? And he was like, yes. And so quick cut to me only wanting to collage. Hello everyone who's joining. I'm showing everything that I've done since the beginning of quarantine. Yeah, so these are some of them. This little hand with oranges and like a little bag. Maybe I should show them the other way, but whatever. This like cool bathtub one. I've never, like, collage is something that I've really never done, like when it wasn't specifically asked of me. So these are really nice. There's something really like physically satisfying about like doing like little tiny intricate cuts with an X-Acto knife. So that's pretty cool. And I have these, just a lot of citrus fruit, I guess was the vibe this week. I have this cute eyeball one. I like it a lot. The thing about them is that for some reason I have a lot of trouble visualizing what they're gonna look like. Like, I cut first and think later about how it's actually gonna look. So that's kind of frustrating, even though it's definitely just a me problem. And I also only have like 4 colors, so I'm working with what I have. And then these were the last ones that I made. These ones are actually like 3D a little bit, like they pop off the page. And I'm very into them. Yeah. So collaging is something that I sort of redid for the first time during this, so that's cool. Nice. Do I have anything else? Oh, so then I took a quick short break. I've had this project in mind for like ever, and I've started and stopped it like 6 different times with different materials because I can't figure out what I want from it. Basically, like ages ago, it's so old, like there's literally a piece that was supposed to be in the series like in Portfolio Day, which was in November of 2018. So I don't know. But this was my new version of it, which I still only did 2 of. But basically it was going to be a zine, and it was going to be like A to Z with like kind of horror-based illustrations. So this was going to be the first one. It says A is for abduction. It's this cool, this is just black pencil crayon on this regrettably textured paper. But yeah, that one's pretty cool. And I only did 1 more. So like ideally the series would be 26, because that's how many letters are on the alphabet. But I don't know, something about it just keeps like throwing me off. And this was the second one, which is B is for bloody, as in Bloody Mary. So that's kind of fun. I don't know. Thank you for everyone saying that they're nice. And that kind of, oh, I'm a liar. I wish I had something like more significant to show for my next endeavor, but I've decided that I'm gonna make like a little kind of model house, I guess, sort of like dollhouse sized. Unfortunately, all I have to show for it is a bunch of cardboard that I cut up and painted white. Hopefully it will be done. I'm really excited about it. I've never done anything like that before. I'm not really a sculpting type of person in general. How long does it take you to do those illustrations? Probably like a couple of hours. They're pretty simple, just 'cause, I mean, the thing that takes the longest is definitely figuring out like the pose and like the composition of a drawing for me, like, and getting all of the anatomy straight. Like the actual shading is really enjoyable and kind of goes quickly for me, but figuring out, like sitting down and figuring out what I'm going to do for this letter is for some reason really difficult, even though I already have sketches for what I want them all to look like. But I sit down and I look at the sketch that I did before and I'm like, that's whack. So they take, I'd say, like maybe an hour, hour and a half. All of my art is pretty quick because I'm impatient, so I like things to be finished in one kind of sitting down session. So yes, ideally one day this will be a like two floor house, but right now it's just a bunch of cardboard and there's not even any windows or doors cut out of it, so it really doesn't look like anything. But I did invest in some larger paintbrushes, so you know that I am committed to painting those walls and stuff. And I got some more air dry clay so I can make cute little bits and bobs to go into the house, so I'm looking forward to that project. But I've started working, so I have a little bit less time to like I can't just wake up and make something. So I have to prioritize my time a little bit differently. On that same note, I have tirelessly been working on this paint by numbers. It is exactly what it seems to be, a lighthouse. I found it in my basement, decided that it needed to be done. Thought it was just gonna be a simple thing for me to do, like, you know, after work, like settle down but still feel like I'm making something. But it's actually like so hard. So I'm not relaxed by it at all, actually, because it's super old. So like half the paint that came with it is dried out. So like I'm just doing a lot of guesswork in terms of colors and mixing. But that is, in terms of the last thing I sat here and worked on, that is what it is. Cool. So I will open to questions again. I mean, obviously you could have asked one at any time, but if anything came to mind, whoa, just cracked my knuckle. I do have a couple of other things to show, if we're interested in that. So while I was looking for stuff to talk about, I came across a couple of things. So this is from, I realize now this is actually a misprint. I don't know where the actual prints are. But this was from my screen printing class in school. I really enjoy it. And it's in terms of like this series, which I think is probably the main thing that a lot of people are familiar with my work. This is the most recent edition. So that's cool. Screen printing is also really hard. But I really enjoyed it, and there's a lot of cool people in that class, and I really loved my teacher, and it was so tragic that it got cut off right at the end. So we'll see how it works, because I am signed up for it next year, so don't know what the studio situation is going to look like at that time. But that is another thing that I have made and not, well, I guess I did post it, but haven't really talked about it. So yeah, that is everything that I've made during quarantine, for sure. Another thing that I found that I thought was fun and cool and worth showing, I sort of forgot that my like double series started with me like hand drawing them. I mentioned before that I do these digitally now, but now that I've found the original like marker drawings for some of these, I'm like, maybe I should go back to doing it that way. Like, it's really nice. So I found a lot of like iconic pieces of my work in their original state. So that's really nice. So what I would do is I would just draw them and scan them and like trace over them. Lovely. Very cute. And I found them under my bed, so it goes to show how good care I'm taking care of like originals. Originals. Here's the train. I don't know. I forgot that they even existed, so me finding them was like really cool, and I found stuff that I'd never even finished or like haven't posted yet. Here's the kind of original version of the I Care, and there's the better version of it. I don't know if the text is facing the right way for you guys. I just realized I'm not sure if that's a problem. Whatever, here's what it looks like. And some of them are so itty bitty. Like, this is so small. And that was one of the later ones that I did. And this one too. Cute. And yeah, even some of the original, like, because I think of like the words first and then I come up with the like design and the composition and stuff. So like I have some of the kind of original versions of like, here's what I saw the sun could have looked like. Like, it's kind of cool to think about. Alternate reality where my art looks slightly different. And this is like a phrase that you really can't even read on here. Like, this was a really bad composition that I ended up using for like my other series with like the hands, which I regrettably really don't have anything like physical to show, because those were all like digital files and I don't really even have a lot of the prints anymore, tragically. Yeah, definitely this is very relevant to now, you're right. I was also thinking of like I don't think I said in the exact words, but how I'm making a lot of this stuff to cope with like time passing and to show myself that time is passing and like I'm doing things and the world isn't passing me by, like it's okay. And then I realized that I literally already made that art piece. Like, one of my first bits of like word-based art was a book cover and it said time passing, how to cope, and like I'm just right back where I was when I made that, which is really interesting. So I'm back to coping with time passing. It's working for me. I'm really happy with a lot of the stuff that I've made. Yeah. That is sort of all I have to show. So, unless anyone wants to see something again or has any questions, I'll just sit back and open the floor. I figure a lot of people actually missed the studio tour part of this because I did it in the first like 30 seconds. The short answer is my studio is this lovely chair, this lovely table that you're sitting on, and a windowsill, so there's not too much to show. Yeah, so maybe the fact that I've shown this stuff already will make me want to post on my Instagram more. It's always sort of on the back of my mind that I wish that I updated it more frequently, and I don't know, I like just weird myself out about it. But now that everyone's actually seen it, maybe I'll feel a little more motivated to properly like document what I've been doing. And even dates like would be good. Circa quarantine 2019 is what everything will be dating. Yeah, stuff inspiring me, like I said, it's just sort of the endeavor of trying to have some physical evidence of my existence at this very weird time where it's kind of hard to mark it with anything else. Like, you can't say, oh, this is, you know, this was my birthday party, or this was like the time that I hung out at this person's house for this time. It's just like I'm at my house every day and there's no difference. So now it's just marked in like art phases, you know, the sculpture phase and the collage phase and the weird dollhouse building phase and the even weirder paint by number phase. Yeah. I don't know. Should I just keep talking to myself, or we could end it here if there's no objection to that? I really enjoyed this. It was fun to have a little show and tell. Can we please the little guys again? The air dry little guys or the polymer clay little guys is the question. I have a feeling you mean the polymer clay little guys though. Cute little mushroom guy. I actually need to finish him. Everything, like, all of my art can be defined as a little guy when you think about it. This little lemon. Are you planning on selling some of your smaller pieces? It's another thing that I would like to, but I'm even if we put aside the fact that like selling in general is hard, I'm also very attached to everything that I make right now. But I do think ideally, like, I really don't need to have every single one of these objects in my possession. So yeah, follow my art Instagram, which is pinned, to get updates on when and if and how they'll be selling. Christmas ornaments is a good idea, especially if they were a little bit more Christmassy. But yeah, maybe something like this would work as an ornament, because I was also thinking, like, I don't know what the actual function of this object is. There's no, like, it's just a put it in your house type of object. So maybe some sort of ornament or something, or like I said, pins or magnets or earrings are all things that make more sense to me. Or you just have like a little rat for like your house, and that's cool too. Weird Kirby not parting with him anytime soon. Yeah, this little orange. I could just pan down. Cute. Keep them in this container. There's all of them. Bunch of little guys. I haven't even made any of the earrings into earrings. Yeah, it will certainly be hard to part with them since they've been sitting here keeping me company for the past several weeks. And I think I would want to put in a little more effort and like research onto like sealing them and stuff like that. I mean, polymer clay is like a permanent thing, you don't really need to, but I think some of my paint jobs are a little bit questionable, and I want them to be perfect, and I'm going to be asking for money. And also the money part is a weird thing, because it's like, on one hand they're such small objects, and on the other hand, like, they do take a lot of time. So it's like weird to balance out like whether I should price them based on my time or based on like the physical amount of materials. Like, there's a lot of intricacies of selling work, I mean, that's just an issue that everybody has, and everybody has to figure out what their compromise is. I'm gonna show my little clown because I like him. He looks the same size. Yes, well, I'll leave him down here. Still open to any questions, otherwise we can say goodbye. Like I said, I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much to Arts Etobicoke for reaching out to me to do this. You should definitely go and watch their other artist tours. They're really cool to see how everyone is sort of adjusting during this time and even outside of this time. I think studio tours are cool. It's just sort of like a peek inside of someone's head. So definitely check those out. Yeah. You can start filtering out if you desire. I'll sit here for a couple more minutes to answer any questions or concerns. Thank you, Sue. I don't know, I feel weird not having like something in my hands. I have him. These are a good example of something that I made to sell, and I have like at least 10, if not more of them, but now I just love them all so much. I will sell them though, I'm determined. Do you have any artists you really like? Loads. And because I, especially right now, like have been doing a lot of stuff that I don't normally do, I have had to find like new artists to look at, and like I don't have any point of reference for collagers really besides Sadie. But I can only really remember people's like Instagram which is not super helpful. There's one girl called, I think, Ladle. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna look it up. But she makes these really sweet like air dry clay sculptures, which for me is like, okay, so you can go pretty far with air dry clay. Yes, her name is Sophie Page. She has a lovely Instagram. It's very sweet. Definitely recommend checking it out. She is someone who I've really been infatuated with for the past like few months. I love it when she posts. She makes earrings. They're very sweet. Goodbye. I'll chill with him. And if anyone thinks of anything that they wanted to ask, or they don't feel good commenting it publicly, get that. You can just DM me on my art account, which again is pinned. Totally open to any sort of questions that anybody might have about anything that I do. But yes, the moral of my quarantine art story is just that I'm making whatever makes me feel good and not really pressuring myself to like churn out really high quality, high concept. Like, I mean, I do think that this double series, like these things, are probably the best thing that I make in my opinion, but they're also a lot of pressure to make, so I've been focusing on making stuff that satisfies a different, you know, more physical, like tangible, wanting to do something with my hands versus conceptual. Just the last few. Thank you everybody for coming. And thanks again to Arts Etobicoke. I just said that, but cannot be overstated. This was really fun. Christian, you can contact me privately for commissions. Alrighty, I think that I am going to end it now, if that's alright with everybody. Like I said, if you have anything that you forgot to ask or didn't get a chance to ask, always open to answering DMs. And really enjoyed this. Thank you everybody for coming. Alrighty, I'm gonna close it now.